Alrighty. So I wasn't going to show this, but there's nothing sensitive here, so it should be fine. I have a server that broke, and Sentinel-1's the one that messed it up during an update process. And so now what I've got is two Claude Codes talking to each other via mail. So if we go over to the mail location here, you've got mail, and they talk to each other via this. And basically, I'm RDP'd into the server here, RDP'd with disk sharing turned on, or disk mounting or whatever. And yeah, so they communicate back and forth with each other. And you can see I've got C is the Claude code here. And then the server is LC, which is Limpy Code, or Limpy Claude. I told the CC not to tell LC what the name means, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because generally, if this thing happened to a server, just a year or 2 years ago, I might spend a few hours trying to diagnose and fix it, and then I'd just be like, okay, let's wipe it. But I was like, well, I really wonder, how bad is it to, what's the actual process look like to rebuild the server? Now, what's ended up happening here is C made a reference image of the same, 2019 server, and before it would boot, I plugged in the C drive from the server, and CC ran through it, found out all the components that were bad, made this HyperV, and pulled off the specific components after updating to the specific version of the server, and got it just enough to boot. And once it was booted, I installed Claude Code and was like, hey, your name's LC, and we're working through this problem. Now, at first, I was basically playing go between them. I was like, well, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? So I set up the Mailbox folder, and at first they were not really figuring out that they could talk to each other, but finally I was like, hey, just do a Mailbox protocol. And eventually, for a big portion of it, I got them to do a watcher. So they were watching for updates from the other Claude code to go back and forth on the mail themselves. This was great. And now we're at a point where we're trying to upgrade this server version to 2022, and that should, in my mind, fix everything. But we're having a problem. And you can see Claude Code just launched the installer again. So we're going to run that. And I don't know, it's just kind of a fun experiment to see what breaks and what doesn't break and all that stuff. So thought somebody might be interested in it. It's not really critical infrastructure of any kind. It's just a server that hosts a couple of things that have been pulled off of it since it crashed. And now that it's not important, I want to see what can happen here. So if anyone's interested, leave me a comment and I'll post an update.